80 victories, a number whispered with awe and fear. That was the Red Baron's score, a tally of enemy aircraft sent crashing down in flames. No other pilot, not in his time nor for many years after, would reach such a chilling benchmark. But the Red Baron was more than just a number. He was a legend forged in the crucible of the First World War. Manfred von Richthofen, a German nobleman, was born into a world on the brink of change. Little did he know that his name would become synonymous with aerial combat, that he would be remembered as the Red Baron, the most feared and respected pilot the world had ever seen. His story is one of daring and skill, of chivalry and death, played out against the backdrop of a world at war. The Great War, as it was known then, was unlike any conflict that came before. It was a war that changed the very fabric of warfare, introducing new technologies and strategies that would shape the future of combat. Trenches scarred the earth, machine guns spat death at an industrial scale, and for the first time, war took to the skies. The battlefield was no longer confined to the ground. It extended upwards into the heavens, creating a new dimension of warfare. Airplanes, once novelties, were transformed into weapons of war. These flying machines, initially used for reconnaissance, quickly evolved into instruments of destruction, equipped with machine guns and bombs. Pilots, young men with a thirst for adventure, took to the heavens in flimsy machines of wood and canvas, armed with little more than pistols and their wits. These brave souls, often barely out of their teens, faced the unknown with courage and determination. The early days of aerial combat were a far cry from the sophisticated warfare of later years. The aircraft were rudimentary, the tactics were basic, and the risks were enormous. Yet these early aviators laid the groundwork for the future of air combat. There were no radar screens, no guided missiles, no computer-aided targeting systems. Pilots had to rely on their instincts, their training, and their ability to outmaneuver their opponents in the sky. It was a time of daring maneuvers and split-second decisions, where instinct and skill meant the difference between life and death. The sky was a chaotic battleground, where only the most skilled and daring pilots could survive. Pilots relied on their eyes and their gut, engaging in swirling dogfights amidst the clouds. These aerial duels were intense and unforgiving, with each pilot striving to gain the upper hand in a deadly dance of skill and strategy. Victories were celebrated with a sense of camaraderie and pride, while losses were mourned deeply. The bond between these pilots was forged in the crucible of combat, creating a brotherhood that transcended the horrors of war. The legacy of these early aviators lives on in the modern era. Today's fighter jets, with their advanced technology and precision weaponry, owe their existence to the pioneering spirit of those first dogfighters. The Dawn of Dogfights marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of warfare, one that continues to evolve and shape the world we live in today. Life as a World War I pilot was harsh and unforgiving. These young aviators faced a myriad of challenges that tested their endurance and spirit. The training was grueling, and the missions were perilous. Every flight could be their last, and the constant stress took a toll on their mental and physical health. The aircraft were notoriously unreliable, prone to mechanical failures that could send a pilot spiraling to the earth. These early planes were made of wood and fabric, with engines that often sputtered and failed. Pilots had to be not only skilled aviators, but also adept mechanics, constantly tinkering with their machines to keep them in the air. The skies themselves were a battleground not only against the enemy, but against the elements. Pilots had to navigate through treacherous weather conditions, including thick fog, heavy rain, and strong winds. Visibility was often poor, making it difficult to spot enemy aircraft or navigate back to base. Freezing temperatures, high altitudes, and the constant threat of enemy fire took a heavy toll on the young men who dared to fly. At high altitudes, the air was thin and cold, and pilots had to endure frostbite and hypoxia. The open cockpits offered little protection from the elements, and many pilots suffered from exposure. Yet amidst the danger, a strange sort of chivalry emerged. Pilots developed a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect, even for their enemies. They saw themselves as part of a brotherhood of aviators bound by the shared experience of flight and the perils they faced. Pilots, both German and Allied, saw themselves as modern-day knights engaged in single combat thousands of feet above the blood-soaked trenches below. These aerial duels were often one-on-one encounters where skill and bravery were put to the ultimate test. The pilots respected each other as worthy adversaries, and there were instances where they would salute each other before or after a duel. There was a code of honor, however unspoken, that dictated how these aerial duels were fought. Pilots refrained from shooting at parachuting enemies or attacking planes that were clearly in distress. This code of conduct set them apart from the brutal warfare on the ground and added a layer of nobility to their deadly game. Victories were celebrated, but so was bravery, regardless of what uniform a pilot wore. Acts of heroism and gallantry were recognized and respected by both sides. Pilots who displayed exceptional courage were often honored by their enemies, and stories of their exploits became legends. The Red Baron himself embodied this paradoxical mix of deadly skill and chivalrous conduct. Manfred von Richthofen, known as the Red Baron, was a feared and respected ace who downed 80 enemy aircraft. Despite his lethal prowess, he adhered to the code of chivalry, often showing mercy to his adversaries. His legacy is a testament to the complex and contradictory nature of aerial combat during World War I. The Red Baron didn't achieve his legendary status through luck alone. His journey to becoming a legend in the skies was a combination of skill, strategy, and an unyielding determination to master the art of aerial combat. He possessed a keen tactical mind and an almost supernatural ability to read the sky. This allowed him to anticipate enemy movements and make split-second decisions that often meant the difference between life and death. He understood the strengths and weaknesses of his aircraft, the iconic red Fokker triplane, and used them to his advantage. The triplane's agility and climb rate were unmatched, and the Red Baron exploited these features to outmaneuver his adversaries. He was a master of positioning, always striving to gain the upper hand in a fight, dictating the terms of engagement. His ability to position his aircraft in the most advantageous spots made him a formidable opponent in the skies. Beyond his individual skill, the Red Baron's success was also due to his leadership. He was not just a lone wolf, he was a leader who inspired his men to achieve greatness. He commanded a unit of elite pilots known as the Flying Circus, so named for their brightly colored aircraft and their constant movement along the front lines. This unit was a testament to his ability to lead and organize a group of highly skilled aviators. The Red Baron fostered a culture of excellence within his squadron, emphasizing teamwork and tactical innovation. He encouraged his pilots to share their knowledge and learn from each other, creating a cohesive and effective fighting force. He trained his pilots to fight as a unit, covering each other's backs and overwhelming their opponents with coordinated attacks. This approach not only increased their chances of success, but also minimized their losses, making the Flying Circus one of the most feared units in the war. The Red Baron's achievements did not go unnoticed. He was awarded numerous medals and honors for his bravery and skill, solidifying his status as a hero of the skies. Despite his fearsome reputation, the Red Baron was also a man who cared deeply for his comrades. He often wrote letters home, expressing his concern for the well-being of his fellow pilots and their families. The airfields where the Flying Circus operated were always bustling with activity. Mechanics worked tirelessly to keep the planes in top condition, while pilots prepared for their next mission, knowing that their lives depended on the reliability of their aircraft. Each mission was a test of skill and courage, and the Red Baron led by example, always at the forefront, ready to face any challenge that came his way. His legacy lives on, not just in the annals of history, but in the hearts of those who continue to be inspired by his story. One dogfight in particular stands out as a testament to the Red Baron's skill and audacity. It took place during the bloody Somme offensive, a battle that epitomized the brutality of trench warfare. The Red Baron, flying his bright red triplane, found himself outnumbered by British aircraft. Despite the odds, he didn't hesitate. What followed was a ballet of death in the clouds. The Red Baron twisted and turned his aircraft, evading enemy fire while lining up his own shots. He fought with a cold precision, exploiting every advantage, every mistake his opponents made. He scored victory after victory, sending British planes spiraling down in flames until finally he was alone in the sky, the victor of a seemingly impossible battle. The Red Baron's reign of terror in the skies was tragically cut short in 1918. He was shot down and killed under circumstances that remain debated to this day. His death, at the young age of 25, sent shockwaves through both sides of the conflict. The world had lost a legend, a warrior who had captured the imagination of a generation, but the Red Baron's legacy extended far beyond his death. He helped to usher in a new era of warfare, one where air power would play an increasingly decisive role. His tactics and leadership inspired generations of pilots, and his name became synonymous with aerial combat. The Red Baron's story is a reminder of the courage and sacrifice of all who fought in the skies during the First World War. It's a tale of technological innovation, of daring and skill, of the clash between chivalry and the brutal realities of war. His story, though steeped in the past, holds lessons for us today. Take the time to learn more about the pioneers of aviation, the men and women who dared to push the boundaries of what was possible. Read about the dogfights, the victories and the tragedies that shaped the early days of air power. And remember the Red Baron, the legend who soared through the skies, leaving an unforgettable mark on history.